And we're live. Hello everyone, this is Ninja DC joining again for the React for Helluva Boss. And joining me again is, in this guy's night, Carlos.
Hello there. My name is Gamel Gator. I also go by many other names. Brody. I also go by the name Carlos. Or Jack of all trades. Whatever you want to call me, just know that I'll be an honorable guy willing to work with you if we're gonna be working together on a project or anything of the sort. If you need me, call me.
Next up, second.
Hi there, I'm the Second Opinion. I call myself a Second Opinion because my mama named me that, says that on my birth certificate. They called me Seki growing up, as it were. And I'm not an honorable guy. You collab with me, I'm going to stab you in the back and steal the credit for all 321 views.
Yep.
Also, critic first, fan second, Second Opinion. Let's do this.
Gotcha.
All right. But any quick updates what we've been up to before we move on?
Well, for me, the video game that I've been playing was not. Should I even call it a video game? Mobile app game that I've been playing for the past 3 years since COVID started. Vanguard Zero is gonna be shutting down its services as of June 30th at midnight. So once this comes off, Vanguard Zero is no longer going to be on air for anyone to try to play the game freely, which just leaves people with only the option of spending money to play a card game simulator of Deer Days on Steam for literally like $70 just for the base game. Follow that up with $70 for booster packs that happen later on than from Set 5. Or just play the actual TCG, which might not be easy to enter cheaply unless you want to go with a budget deck. But I'm just letting you know, Vanguard is a lot more fair of a card game than a lot of other competitors. So please support it, especially considering the fact that we're currently in 2023, the year of the trading card game boom, in which so many competitors are trying to vie for capitalists money grubbing pockets and such right now. We got people like Disney, we got people like the whole anime industry with Kadokawa and such trying to. Was it Shonen Jump trying to do it? Okay. Then there's also stuff like One Piece getting its own card game. And then a whole bunch of other stuff that just makes you just sit there and be like, yeah, I don't know. I don't know where I'm going to be starting. Even Shadowverse, the most popular a Hearthstone clone, is getting its own physical card game this year from Bushiroad, which is insane. So, yeah, anyone who plays the OG of Yu-Gi-Oh!, if you guys want to find a much more healthier card game environment, possibly go for Shadowverse. I mean, some of the people who play Shadowverse are the same people who play Vanguard, so I'm just letting you know there's that. If you're looking for a newer card game, you get me? Because I played Shadowverse the online game, and oh my god, I've never been so glad to find a card game with a female protagonist. That feels actually unique and actually feels like an epic fantasy story involving crossing over to different dimensions and not feeling like something that you would see from a current modern day pop culture.
We have gradually become more open to the notion of the lady geek.
The lady geek. I mean, there's actually 4 female protagonists alongside with 4 guys. Wait, no, not 4 guys. Sorry. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 5 females, 3 males. Yeah.
5 dudes, 3 gals.
No, not 5 dudes, 3 gals. It's 5 gals, 3 guys.
Oh, okay, I got it backwards.
Yeah. Yeah, it's kind of like
Refreshing.
very mystifying to find something like that in which like technically the main character and rival are both girls. And it's not really a feminine card game either.
Hmm. Hmm. Well, it takes us a long time to grow dimensions, but eventually we do. Hmm.
Hmm.
Like me, I'm just gonna kick back with my geek tomboy uh, built-in brick with a high-stepping taekwondo kick wife and have a grand old time.
Hmm. Yeah. You don't really need to put yourself in those games.
It's true. So yeah, we do play Magic against each other all the time. I'm better.
All right, all right. Saying it while the missus is not here. Totally not a sign of weakness of like your bravery to utter such a words.
I know, right?
Hmm.
But all right. Does anyone want to give any quick other updates?
Let's see. Bought a house. Don't trust Howard Hanna. Training Tai Chi in as the rain fell all around me. Doing hyper focus in the forms before taking on my friends. And oh yeah, I finally saw the next chapter of the Snyderverse. I promised I would never pick that damn thing up again until it was dead and buried, and his fans, their toxic ranting, could do no more. And this was the time. Batman v Superman, the Ultimate Edition Director's Cut.
Ooh.
That was a thing.
Mm.
The one thing I hear is like that Snyder Cut is not like a good film, but it is a better film.
Yeah. Well, like, okay, straight up, first almost hour, an annoying film, but not a bad one. Last almost hour, an annoying film, but not a bad one. You know, Snyder, he can play the notes, but not the music syndrome. So many of his, dream sequences and, um, you know, speeches and character hard ass moment, they come across like posery flexes. They come across like posturing because it feels like his goal was to, quote, say something badass rather than something that is, important to him and or the story that happens to come across as badass. But still, I can see straight up why fans of this thing, want this specific approach and not others to be the one going forward. It really does kind of feel like how toxic and claustrophobic and whatnot our world would become over a Superman in it. That said, the middle hour was unbearable. Occasionally scattered fetch quest plots, the characters kind of going here, there, but mainly just posturing and posing and pontificating and arguing about arguing, and good lord, like the lack of a thread pulling that was a bit of a problem for the first almost hour, the thread pulling us along, the inability to really follow this Batman who, I don't know, more than anything, just it feels like Zack Snyder wants you to get him because, well, he's a badass or what. Like, it doesn't really feel like you're with him in this middle hour. It doesn't feel like you're with Superman, who's just kind of off doing things. It feels like the movie posturing and posturing and posturing, and I mean, nothing so much breaks the reality of it. I mean, you can't say it's a bad movie from that angle, like this isn't a story, this is just some guy talking out of his backside, but not so much that, but just like unstructured posturing, beating you over the head with it until I couldn't take it anymore. I mean, like, all of these subjects, all of these things people are talking about, and even how dark it gets within the talking about it and thinking about it and watching it play out, that could work in a Batman or a Superman or a Batman-Superman movie, but not if you just pile it on in this high as all hell mountain that doesn't go anywhere besides just beating you over the head with how important this movie is, with how deep, quote unquote, this movie is. Lord. I mean, maybe the Snyder heads came for this is actually a very effective approach. Yeah, this in the real world, but they refuse to leave because, like Andy Samberg, they're staying because they have the desire to scream, "I'm an adult!" when watching their comic book movies. Blah. Oh, and I rewatched Popeye with Dale too. She'd never seen the Robin Williams version. I forgot how funny Poop Deck Pappy is. Haul ass, I hate kids. It's funny.
That was beautiful.
Actually,
that was beautiful. Second.
Thank you.
well, we'll come back to your rant about Snyderverse in a second because that is part of the news story. Because we're going to quickly go to Helluva Boss, but there are two news things I feel to cover. But yeah, before that, what I've been up to is like, not much, just finishing up some anime, finishing the second season of Bo Fury. I then started the Final Fantasy 16 just recently after playing the demo / the tutorial area, which is this is a very high quality game. Like there's a lot of production budget in Final Fantasy 16. But it's the only thing is like I really like them I've had so far, but like it is a very different tone game than other Final Fantasies. It feels very much like
Mami, siente nomás.
It gives me similar vibes like how the Demon Souls and all the Soulsborne games are sort of a Japanese RPG technically because they're RPG made in Japan, but they're a style after Western RPG. This feels very similar from like Square Enix, where it is very influenced by like Western game design, like Western RPG game design, and is intriguing but also sort of jarring in ways. But yeah, enjoying the ride so far. But yeah, only about 3 hours or so in.
I gotcha. There's also like a hype video that I can't wait to watch like a week from now from like the people behind Death Battle right now. Like, do you guys know like what's the next Death Battle?
No.
Rocket Raccoon versus Experiment 626.
Nah. I mean, unless Rocket Raccoon is a lot stronger in the comics and not the comics that I have read him in, there's one where he teams up with the Hulk, and the plot is basically the Hulk does all the work till the bad guy's like, tell you what, Hulk, I'll send you back to Earth if you get the heck out of our comic. You just are straight up tipping the scales in their favor, and this planet needs balance. So unless he's stronger than he is in that one, then yeah, I don't see how Stitch is gonna lose.
Yeah, like seriously, and it's just basically like, yeah, I'm just like a full-blown Lilo and Stitch fanatic because I mean, let's just say he and I go way back, including the fact that like my apartment, my house, literally is numbered 626. I am not even kidding.
But yeah, that seems like an interesting match. Like,
I mean, maybe if they like include the possible reality of like Rocket could like trick Stitch into some kind of a ship and send him away to something, although then again Stitch is a genius escape artist and all that too, so I mean,
yeah, the thing is like I would say Stitch should win. However, Rocket has the advantage of like being in comics where
Stitch has an advantage actually.
what, he's in comics too?
No. He's got expanded universe in the form of anime.
If they count that.
Yeah, they're gonna have to count that. If you're gonna count comic books, you're gonna have to count everything they did after the series of Lilo and Stitch.
Yeah, I don't think they will. The
I
thing is, they will. I think they count the general source material, so they'll probably count the maybe official Disney comics, but they'll probably do the Stitch movies and the TV show. Is probably my guess. Well, Rocket Raccoon has the advantage of like pulling from like all of the Marvel comics, where if you know comics enough, there's always some
overpowered feat where they
there's some
take it up
bullshit
so
at some
far.
point.
Yeah,
That's
I mean, it would have to
like
be.
that's what half of Death Battle is like here let's pull some bullshit like comic fact.
Yeah, who push the bullshit higher, basically.
Yeah.
It would have to be in it would have to be in, I guess, newer ones, like I said, because in the one I read, Rocket Raccoon was basically Han Solo with rocket-powered shoes in a raccoon body.
All
right. But yeah,
yeah, I think there was only one more. Oh, sorry. You say it.
I was going to say, I was going to move on to the other news stories. Yeah, that does actually sound like an interesting battle. The most satisfying one I've seen recently though is like the Homelander versus
Omni-Man,
which is like that was a satisfying fight because if you had where the ending was going, so
yeah, the ending was going, and it was the most well-deserved victory, in which everything was canon. You can't say it's not canon, considering the characters.
But yeah, in terms of news stories, let's get sort of the obvious one out of the way. That's not even really media related, but like this will date this recording is like there's the whole Ocean Gate thing with billionaires getting killed during the dive to the Titanic. That's going all around. It's been memed to death, which is honestly a little. This really is, in my mind, too soon for the amount of memes we got.
I don't know. I mean, like, just on its face, billionaires decide to do something because they can, and they all die. I mean, that almost can't not be this, like, relevant in the sense that we've got to snatch it up and throw it back and forth and, exploit it for all it's worth. That kind of relevant. But, I mean, I don't know. Like, all life is precious. I feel that, like, in and of itself, outside looking in, though, like, the family should be respected, the memories should be respected, so all of the above. I just, like, past that, I just don't see why we need to talk about this at all. Maybe to nail these submarine people to the floor for whatever the heck oversight happened here, but yeah.
Oh, yeah, don't worry. The billionaires' lawyers are going to handle that.
Yeah,
honestly,
there we go.
Honestly, I didn't even know what this was. I thought it was people discovering people trying to use like prototype submarine technology to escape the Titanic, but ended up trapped in the ocean floor dying. I thought that was that going on. I didn't know
it's
it
not
was like
that much of a
people
Twilight Zone episode.
Okay. I'm not saying anything outrageous, right? Like
no. I was just like you just struck me with like what a grand irony that would be. Like discovering people trying to escape the Titanic only to share their fate.
Well, like that's the one joke I will say is so funny. I will agree so far is like people are like saying like, oh yeah, James Cameron's talking about this subject. It's like everyone's like, all right, he's playing a movie already. They have like screenshots. It's like, okay, that is a little funny.
And especially considering the fact that one of the animated Titanic movies was about rich people literally using like a bathysphere to like literally try to check out the Titanic and try to recover it.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Which that just feels like, God, if they even did memes of that, like then that's a super deep cut.
Yeah, but like I said, yeah, that's on all the news. I just felt we sort of needed to mention that. The other interesting news, which I really wish we had more time to talk about, because actually it's a React topic, this podcast topic unto itself, is there's some interesting things happening at the box office recently.
Mm-hmm.
And like so there have been some. It's not like the box offices are just bad all across the field as Spider-Verse and Super Mario movie have shown. Like no, there's still some very successful movies right now. However, some other things are doing poorly. Like the more predictable poorly one, like going back to the Snyderverse, is like the Flash movie is underperforming.
Oh
Um,
yes, that's well deserved, honestly, considering the fact of the actor.
Yeah, I mean,
yeah,
I'm honestly
that movie.
surprised.
That's why I said it's not really like that's not the really the shocking one because like everyone sort of knew this would probably not do great because as one Ezra Miller is like it's not just like tabloid stuff. It's really more widespreadly known he's sort of crazy.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, what they've been like, yeah, confirmed for, I think, is downright horrifying. And I don't know, maybe it's unfortunate that it was smack in the middle of a franchise that just had to be like,
And that's the
full steam
second
ahead.
point. Yeah, that's the second point is like that everyone sort of knew this was not going to do well is everyone knows the Snyderverse is basically dead. And this is just like the final like farewell note to it. So it's like no one's really in. It's like even like better films like I would consider like the second Shazam film a good film didn't really do well, and just because everyone knew it was part of the Snyderverse, which is dead. So yeah, that it's not too surprising that's not doing well.
I
The only thing
mean,
that's really doing any sort of success is basically Michael Keaton. Um,
yeah, well, I mean, that's the thing. Like, well, first of all, I've heard of crazier things being successful, like what the first Suicide Squad that was successful because it had Bohemian Rhapsody in the trailer. But yeah, like the Flash, I would have no trouble. Like if you had fast forwarded me in time, like so I had to skip the movie's release and catch up with you after the fact. I would have had no trouble believing you if you told me this thing was like the Whedon Justice League, like it, you know, made a bunch of money, but it's still like it's yeah, like essentially the highest grossing bomb you're ever gonna see that like they just blew so much money on it and then like um higher than a lot of other movies just wasn't nearly good enough, then yeah, I wouldn't have had any trouble believing that. I did not expect this thing to bomb as hard as it seems to be bombing. Like,
yeah, thing is though, it's not the biggest bomb so far, which is I'm going to go. There's sort of three bombs to cover. Like that was sort of the more obvious one. The
Yeah.
second one is the more controversial, but also possibly the more successful bomb still. It's mostly because the budget basically is killing it. Is the Little Mermaid, which is fizzling out. Basically, the basic, yeah,
mm,
it's fizzled out. Like it's
Mm.
still made over like around 500
over
million.
500 million. I think it's hit its
Yeah,
break even point. Now it's like the, yeah, whatever juice it has left in the tank. It's like, yeah, I mean, this apparently, I mean, at least the version I've heard of it is like, this has been, yeah, one heck of a football game the whole way. You know, have your
but
popcorn on
that's the
hand
thing is
because
like
it's been like
that's what I
this
said. It's
crawl that almost precisely to the break even point, and it's like, okay, so with like it's once it gets there, is it gonna have like just enough left in the tank to get some kind of a profit? Is it not?
yeah,
What you were
but like
saying?
that's sort of the point is like it's sort of like breaking even, but like it's not. It's probably like the worst performing like Disney live action net trend. Like not the lowest like money, but in terms of like profit made for these, it was like yeah, um, it did not perform well. Especially like actually, I would say in the U.S. it performed. The domestic box office was not terrible, not great, but like I would say like predictable sort of thing.
Mm.
I heard
But
that
yeah,
the U.S.
internet.
box office was like surprisingly kind of slaying it, but the overseas gross was just bad.
Yeah, that's the what I was going is like internationally though it was like I said, it was not great, not terrible in the U.S. Like not the best, not the worst, like live action thing, but like not what they wanted, but still okay. It's just like yeah, internationally they got decimated, um,
Yeah.
in
I don't
pools.
really
But
because I
like
had.
yeah,
I mean, didn't I read that it? Yeah, domestically it beat predictions, but whatever.
it
Like
depends what
we agree
predictions
that
you
the
want for. They had
reacted with
high
that.
and low ones beforehand, but yeah, it was basically it's doing okay, but it's not the magic bullet that like all the Disney live action adaptations have been as of late.
It's not, hey, we did The Lion King with the lifeless CGI puppets waved at you and a couple of new jokes and made more money than God. Like, it's,
Yeah,
hey, we have to
or
actually
even
face
like
some kind of consequences.
yeah, it's like
Yeah.
it's basically half of an Aladdin. Um, so
Yeah. And I mean, I heard this is like the one time that the get woke, go broke dickheads might have, like, yeah, actually been able to say that, and even partly because they, yeah, willed it into existence. Apparently, this time, for whatever reason, because I have never heard of this in my life, but yeah, the, like, there's been some kind of a track. Apparently, some countries overseas did care that IMDb got review bombed, said, like, hey, that's, like, not a high score, so, like, maybe we shouldn't see this. Which I have never heard of
I
that
think
in
yeah,
my
I think
life. I don't
yeah, I
think,
think
like,
the bigger yeah, I think the bigger trend though is like even besides the controversy, which I feel it's just a controversy as a whole, like not even itself, just like the bad air about isn't good. But I feel the biggest thing is people are just getting sick of these live action adaptations, and that was seemed to be a common trend. But
that's
yeah,
the better
moving on to
reason not to see this, honestly.
yeah, but to move on to the even bigger bomb and sort of the trend of like probably Disney's doing really terrible right now.
Yeah.
Elemental is the worst performing Pixar film of all time.
And it's the worst timing too because the directors
Like,
only
it
other
was put like not just like I think even like adjusted for inflation is like by a mile it's the worst performing. Like if you don't adjust
Mhm.
for inflation, it's still like
Number for number, it
possibly the
might be
worst.
something.
Yeah, and that's like it's like oh it may like the original Toy Story might perform slightly less if you don't adjust for the fact that it was released in the 90s and was the first Pixar film or unknown studio.
Mm,
Um, and yeah, Elemental is performing so bad that The Flash is doing better.
Oh
yeah.
God. Yeah, okay,
Well,
people. This is a service call. Please just watch Elemental. Like, do not care about the advertisement. Just please watch it just so that we can completely eradicate the Snyderverse. This is a public service call. Please.
yeah.
Please.
I will say, like, the one thing I have heard people speak up for on behalf of Elemental, like, apparently, despite it just plain smaller ballpark than they wanted for it, uh, supposedly it actually does have legs to speak of. Like, the Flash coming out, it went from, like, bad to worse in a hurry. Like, uh, Elemental, it looks like might actually, yeah, be in theaters for some time to speak of. Like, that it's not gonna, yeah, become profitable, of course, but it might, like, yeah, slowly turn bad into less bad from what people are
Yeah.
reading.
Yeah, this is like I said, this is a topic I feel would be its own podcast, but we have to move on to react is yeah, Pixar is not doing well, and I sort of predicted this even before the political drama with Disney, just how Disney was treating, just in terms of pure business, they were treating Pixar terribly during the pandemic.
Hmm.
Hmm.
Well, you have to
And this
wonder
is
how.
sort of, I feel,
Good.
this is them reaping what they sowed. And yeah, the Bobs are idiots who run
Yeah.
Disney. Both Bob Iger and Bob Chapek are both stupid. And their decisions are really starting to come back and pay. And in terms of
Yeah.
Pixar, like, yeah, making Pixar Autonomous as a Disney Plus release was a completely idiotic choice. Um, and also probably letting Lasser to get away. Um,
Oh. But I mean,
yeah,
yeah, like at the best of times with how they've been releasing these on Disney Plus, just making them so easy to see. It's like, of course, people are gonna go to it there. So I mean, yeah, at the best of times for this to even have its best self performance, whether or not that would have been good enough, this would have needed, like, yeah, hey, Pixar has done it again as this. It, like, I remember the days where Pixar felt like the animated movie in the year of the year. Every year they would throw it up on the screens, and you're like, yeah, okay, that's the one. That's one of the events this year. And I mean, even barring the fact that there have been more, like, I don't think Disney even tried to pretend this time. I saw a couple of ads for Elemental. I know it, or half ads. I know it's about a water person and a fire person. I mean, the Rotten Tomatoes reviews are saying that, like, okay, yeah, this is not Chef's Kiss. You've done it again, Pixar. This is, oh, that was fun, Pixar. And
But yeah, like
and
this is
and Disney's
not just
attitude. Disney seems to be treating it the same way. Like, yeah, see this, you might like it, or something.
yeah. The thing is, like both like Pixar in particular has been doing bad the last few years, box office wise. Like I think the last successful, like fully like undeniably successful like Pixar film that was released was Toy Story 4, and then everything after that has not really been successful financially. And then even I think Disney mainline is doing slightly better, but mostly I think because of Enchanto.
Enchanto.
But
Encanto.
Encanto. You're like,
Encanto. But I mean, like, yeah, that's sort of like they're not doing swell themselves as like I forget, Strange World's done, and yeah, so yeah, those studios are big, which is like I don't mean to like try to rub in their face or anything like because like like Pixar is like a big part of my childhood, and it is concerning that the state they are in. Again, like I know he's controversy in a Me Too thing, but dear Lord, probably consider bribing Lasseter with $1 billion to come back and fix this shit.
I mean, but at the same time, it's like the workers. It's like do they want to go back to like the bad working conditions with that guy? Like that's really the thing you gotta think about. I mean, we're right now going through a bit of like a cultural revolution of trying to remove like some of the bad people who have been working behind the scenes of like profitable franchises and such. But
the thing is, Lasseter is like there's rumors about him and all that, but like it was more about extended hugging and stuff like that, and like there's no really substantial. He has no gosh, what's that one sleazebag? That what was that one sleazeball that was like basically the one that started the Me Too thing?
Don't
The one that
Not
Miyazaki
Epstein,
said,
right? The like a Brett Ratner or someone like that.
No, who's the one that like Miyazaki said no cuts to?
Epstein, right? Or
No, Epstein's the island guy that died under mysterious circumstances.
Harvey Weinstein.
Weinstein, that's the sleazeball. Yeah, like Lasseter is no Weinstein. Yeah, as I said, like they should really like try to poach him back because I'm not saying they haven't done good things under him because like I think one of the best films Pixar ever did was Coco, which is I feel fully removed or at least partially removed because it's long legs of movie production from Lasseter. And like yeah, they can still do quality stuff, but the quality control has not been good.
I gotcha.
But yeah, like that's I feel that's a real that honestly is a topic I feel needs to be addressed in the podcast. Is like what the heck is happening at some of the Hollywood studios? Because again, it's not like Hollywood studios are down across the board. Like Universal is doing stupidly well right now.
Right now for best movie, it's literally a competition between DreamWorks and Sony. With probably Sony going to win that one.
And like Sony is doing pretty well too. And
the whole invention of the Spider-Verse movies.
It's just like not even just the Spider-Verse. I think a lot of their other products are doing well too. Like their PlayStation Studio spin-off products are actually looking like they're all hitting. Like the Uncharted movies were very successful financially. The Uncharted movie was successful. The Gran Turismo movie actually looks really good, which is
Actually,
like surprisingly good.
looking at how many movies needed to become like coming up on billion-dollar movies to be successful this year, like I'm just looking at, heck, even on Twitter right now, right at this moment, people are discussing bombs. I'm like, yeah, how many movies did all of you expect us to see? Like, I think there's just like part of the problem might be there's just plain too many of them, and none of them are like, yeah, I mean, heck, the ones that are successful seem to be the ones that have us all saying, wow, that thing is that good. The frickin' Spider-Verse, and not and also helped by the fact that it didn't have like, yeah, a macro budget, or at least not a macro budget.
Well, I think it's again. This is like I think this will be the topic. I feel the next podcast, like what the heck is going on with Hollywood. Actually, might be a good midway through July because that's through the most of the summer season by then.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, because what's happening, because it really is fascinating what is happening with Pixar, because it's not like, oh, this Elemental is like because they've had like before, like Lasseter I said has quality control under him, like he brought, but there was even duds under him, like the Good Dinosaur was a dud.
Mm-hmm.
So like it's not like it's like one-off problems happen at any studio. That's just what happens as part of the risk thing.
Yeah,
However,
well,
like Pixar is just like it's like they have not had a financially successful film since Toy Story 4. They've had a whole string of like underperforming film. Like I feel critically good, but also mixed. I'm mixed to, when I think like the most Luca and Red or mixed or okay. Like
yeah, well, like I think, I guess we were able to take like time out on calling judgment on some of those because we did have a pandemic to deal with. Like, yeah, like Soul, for example, it didn't, like, its theatrical gross. You go up on like Wikipedia or something, look it up right now. It'll say its theatrical gross was less than its budget, but then you look at like the reports of how it did. Yeah, all they want to talk about over and over and over and over again is how it was one of the most successful streaming movies of the year, how it absolutely slayed the views, how it was in competition with like the absolute heaviest of the heavy hitters. So like, yeah, and heck, why not? I mean, that thing got like slam bang reviews. I feel like even if, yeah, you thought like, well, I don't know about jazz, and like seeing that as my cartoon movie in the theater, I feel like everybody would have been like, oh, that might be worth a try on streaming. So that's one. But like
actually,
now, there does seem to be a sign that they're either eating up goodwill or they're just eating up the, yeah, one of many forces that would have gotten audiences to go out and see this.
yeah, and like, but also like that's what I said. Like the biggest things, like Pixar can still do quality film. Like I haven't seen Soul, but I've heard good reviews about Soul.
Well, like during the pandemic, I feel like Soul, especially by pandemic standards, had to be considered some kind of a success. Elemental clearly does not.
Well, like not even an element like Strange. Oh no, actually, it was Strange World, which was Disney. But like even before that, at the start of the pandemic, they sort of tried to blame it on a pandemic, but it was failing. Before that was that one troll like fantasy real world thing that Pixar released.
Fantasy real world thing.
Oh, you're talking about like the one with Tom Holland and Jack
Yeah.
Black as the
But
brothers.
we need to really move on to, so like I said, we'll come back to the Pixar, what's happening to Hollywood and all that soon, because we need to move to Helluva Boss because I have work tomorrow and we have to react and discuss that.
Okay,
Yeah,
if you want to
okay.
talk more about Disney bombs, there's a good video by EDD Ake. Ed Ake. He has a thing about how actually about a fifth of all Disney movies have bombed, and there's things to be gleaned from that besides, you suck!
Or chat in the comments below if you want us and the rest of the gang to actually discuss about this in an actual later podcast.
All right, go ahead.
All right, but I guess we'll pause now and come back for React. So yeah, that was an interesting episode and surprisingly heartfelt for this series.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I mean, if you remember how, like, the kind of place Ozzy's left Blitz in, like, I mean, I think that might still be yeah, as deep, for lack of a better word, like, yeah, as emotional as it got. Um, I guess I see it as like, yeah, that is the fallout and this is the recovery, or at least the stage one of it to that. But yeah, like I figured Blitz must have gotten some kind of vindication at the end of that. Like he must have gotten straightened it out somehow. And honestly, it was even a little less than my mildest predictions. He like goes back out, has a better night on the town, and then he gets Luna to say that she's gonna quote unquote be there as he like pseudo gets his "I'm gonna die alone" thing off his chest.
But yeah, but like it's sort of interesting. Like I feel like this episode, like it's not like a quote wasn't necessary for season 2, but this really gives you a better feel of Luna's character significantly. Where
Yeah, for episode
this
2.
really establishes where like she's not necessarily a bitch at heart, but like she's just sort of like insecure, and like that's how she vents that insecurity. Um, and this is like the first really true look at that we get.
Yeah, I mean, like it. Honestly, more than anything, it seems like she's like a real coiled snake, and snake is not an insult; it is hell after all. But yeah, like she's real coiled. Just about everything gets her defensive, because that anything like except sweetness towards her, because like that seems to be a novelty she likes, and everything else she doesn't really know how to handle. She'd like, yeah, seems like she has one thing that she knows that works, and that's to, yeah, get mad and push back.
Uh, I I seriously feel like this episode is like would make rewatching of like the season 2 episode like a lot better. Like just feels like all together with like episode 3, this one, and episode 2. It's like, huh, they do have something going on for Luna, and we're gonna be getting more Luna later on in season 2.
Yeah, I mean, I guess as far as like what we've seen from the characters going forward, I mean, yeah, I've speculated that it felt like there was a missing piece for Blitz, but honestly, I guess this does add more to Luna, like where she got to the point where she was able to have an even-handed conversation with Octavia and like acknowledge that dads can kind of suck sometimes and still say something nice on behalf of hers.
Yeah. Then now I'm gonna want to talk about Beelzebub for a second here. It's
Mhm.
like right now, so far I think Beelzebub is probably like the nicest one out of the 7 lords, and it's like weird, but then again, I mean we don't know the full context of her personality. Well, we got a good grasp of her here, and it's just like, okay, gluttony. Trying to show all the funness of it, but then also making the queen bee have a sensitive side of like understanding auras and such of people who go in to like try to drink their problems away and such.
Yeah.
Yeah,
First of
that's
all, what other lords have we seen so far? I genuinely don't
we
remember that one.
Osmodius
Um,
uh, and
Crash course
technically
refresher.
Osmodius from like the from the Aussies episode of season 1, episode 7. So the
Oh,
Lord of
yeah,
Light.
yeah. Okay. Wait a minute. Which one was that? Yeah. Okay. They're at Ozzy's. I totally didn't get that was the plot point that
And
he
then like
oversees
we've
one of the
seen
circles. But which one does he oversee?
He oversees
Lust.
lust. Yeah, he's
Okay.
lust.
So, all right. Well, actually, that hints that um, there might be more than somewhere left to go with Lords of Hell. Like I have read Dante's Inferno, or at least just over half of it. I'm like, yeah, wondering when I'm gonna get past to it. The Longfellow translation is a lot to go through. He totally just not only is it like older, outdated English, but he translated it just deferring to Italian as much as possible. If there wasn't a perfect word, he just used the closest thing. So it's cool, but it weighs on you to read. Okay, but that said, the circles of hell, like, okay, the first circle is just nothing. Your punishment is that you're not in heaven. It's like you in no way did anything wrong. You just didn't pass the test or something like that. Yeah, lust is only number 2, where your punishment is to be, yeah, you're like a spirit who's constantly has to ride some kind of wind around, so like you're never quote unquote at rest, and that's your punishment. And yeah, openly acknowledged as the mildest. Gluttony is a little worse, but still only 3rd. You have an icy rain falling on you to sit in, and greed. Well, greed was supposed to be worse, but it comes off kind of like God's failed experiment. And anger, you have to either beat the hell out of each other or you have to soak in boiling water. And we're still only at the upper echelons of hell.
Wait, we have hints of Mammon for greed. So yeah, from like the dollar bills over in hell.
Okay, so yeah, like 5th circle anger. I mean, that sounds pretty bad, but we're not even in like there's like a proper city of hell below that where it's a whole thing. They have to go through like this passage, these structures, these bizarre creatures just like gatekeeping the rest of hell before. So 6 and on is like where it gets really serious. So, okay, right now they've shown us basically the first 2. Like I said, circle number 1 is nothing. There is no punishment. There's just, well, it's not heaven, but we'll give you a consolation prize. So yeah, the next 2, basically they've shown us the 2 gentlest lords, I guess is where I'm going with that. Like we've seen, hey, sing me a song about lust. Sing me a song, you're the lust man. And we've seen like,
hey, I just really like anything and I'm okay with anything as long as it involves me shoving stuff in my face and talking about like how much fun it is to do that and
all of the above. So I don't know, like, okay, if we're going to see more Lords of Hell, I have a feeling they're going to become a little more intimidating as we go along.
Yeah, like I feel like Mammon is going to be the tone shifter, considering like the implications and the lore already with him.
And that's greed.
Yeah. Yeah. It really makes me wonder about Sloth being basically sort of like an apocalyptic lord, possibly, considering like how calm it is, but at the same time, Sloth could be anything but.
I don't think there is a Sloth circle.
Yeah, there is. Like, don't you remember from like the last episode?
It's lust, gluttony, greed, anger, and then yeah, the rest of them, instead of like the 7 deadly sins, they start to like play around in, like I said, you go through a city and it's like, okay, it's not so much like an element of sin. It's like, okay, here you've done something against God himself that like he really needs to crack his knuckles and set about correcting. You've either committed heresy, so like, yeah, you said something that Christian religion doesn't want you to say. You need a serious punishment. Circle number 7, I have to look this up to remind myself, but it says violence. I don't think it's exactly like, okay, no, I guess that's the murder circle or some such, but it's, yeah, you're like, you didn't just get mad and take it out on people. You were like a career criminal of violence. And then 8 is, I wish I was holding the book itself and not a crash course reminder of like, okay, I guess, no, 8 is you did things that Christianity doesn't want you to say. You said you could predict things or you said basically that you could tell people things better than God could. You conned them. You preached that yeah, fraud is circle 8. So 6, I guess, is just you spoke that you didn't necessarily trick anybody, but you said the things that God really doesn't want you to say. So, and then 9 is treachery. If you betray, that to Dante was the deepest sin of all. So Satan is not, in fact, the Lord of Hell. He is its premier prisoner, smack in the middle, the deepest circle of all, frozen in a lake of ice up to his waist, and given nothing to do except chew on the three greatest sinners besides himself in history.
Also, like, I forget, isn't that indulgences in the final layer, or is that the 8th layer?
Oh yeah, the excrement and stuff. That is one of the last 3, 6, 7, or 8. I don't know, 6 and like they get so interchangeable on some levels because it's just like there's not even just one punishment. It's like broken up into subdivisions where each one is something different. Sometimes your head is on backwards. Sometimes you're in a boiling lake of something that I guess was worse than the boiling water back in circle number 5. Some of them you're forced to sit in excrement and all of that. What was the question?
Yeah.
What was the one you were asking about?
No, I said like the indulgences where it's like you buy away your sins. I know those.
That would be fraud. Yeah, that's the second to last one. But treachery, you have to have betrayed someone else. You have to have either killed someone who personally trusted you, or like betrayed them in some, like you have to have basically given your loyalty to someone and then taken it back in a meaningful way.
Yeah, but going back to the Helluva Boss. I sort of like. I'm like trying really to figure out what I think about her, or the one sin. What's her like a shorten of her name?
Beelzy?
Beelzy, yeah. Because I think they said a shorter version. Because overall, I like their character, because I feel like they're going like she actually does play well with Luna's personality. At the same time, like, yeah, this is not a situation where Luna's not getting Vex. What's his name?
Tex. Like
Tex.
Vortex. Tex is his short
Vortex.
name.
That's what I was thinking. I knew it would start with a V. Yeah, she's not gonna woo away Vortex. That seems to be clear, which is sort of sad, unfortunate for Luna.
But at the same time, I mean, you gotta keep your options open.
Well, it's hinted that there's going to be more there, like his dissatisfaction with his girlfriend, like when she grows giant to confront Luna, he's like looking away with his hand over his face, like he's doesn't approve, and he's willfully forcing himself to turn a blind eye to it. So, like, yeah, could there potentially be something there in the future? At very least, they're probably going to come back.
Well, I mean, yeah, for sure. I mean, this is already Tex's second appearance, so I feel like he's gonna be a backup character for like Luna plot lines, really. Even if he's not the love interest, he's just basically like someone that gives Luna a bit of conflict within herself, you know? Just quite helpful in that.
Oh, that's the thing. Like, I do feel they're more going to be interacting more. It seems to be set up, which, again, yeah, I want to see more of Luna's personality, not just her sass.
Yeah, I'm definitely fine with more personality. Like, we already have enough of the sass, like, clearly from, like, us watching this without the episode 8. Like, it kind of drains on you, but this episode was like, well, I can now say for certain that Luna is at least a 2-dimensional character, and I feel sympathy for her a lot. So, like, I definitely feel for her a lot here.
Okay. Also, one thing I want to note about, which is interesting for Hell, is like, yeah, Luna just basically invited her dad to a party, and everyone was chill with it.
Yep.
It's sort of like a weird thing, like.
Yeah. Well, the guy, like, she wasn't the first one to invite him. The guys who already knew him asked him to come in and show them up.
I know, but like, still, it's like, so that, oh, yeah, your dad goes into a party, and like, it's instead of being shamed, it's like, no, she's rooting for him to win a freaking drinking contest. It's like, wow, this is not what I expected for her. Like, lack of shame or mockery with this thing, but I'm
It might
enjoying this
partly
show.
be because she's kind of a dork, like even in it, like the best possible outcome, which is kind of what they got, by the by. Who the heck says, "Yeah, that's my dad"? Like, so yeah, Luna, like underneath the, like besides not knowing how to subtle her way through scenarios very well, she might just plain not know how not to be a dork very well. Alright. Which is actually very interesting to explore, so yeah. They could have a lot that's interesting there. Also, by the by, I don't know where this wiki got it, but looking it up, it looks like Helluva Boss is flipping around shuffling around the rings of hell and also changing what they're actually about. Like, it looks like they decided to get all the deadly sins in there instead of what Dante had in mind, which was basically, yeah, 5 of them or something that I can think of punishments for, and then the things I want to talk about personally that I think are the worst sins. So yeah, it
Thing
looks
is,
like
yeah, they don't really necessarily have to stick with Dante because like Dante's is at the end of the day just basically fan fiction that's supposed to be more or less commentary about the times. So it's like that's like sort of funny, like how Dante's become such symbolic of what hell looks like and all that, even though it's
he made it up.
not in any way religious text.
Yeah, so it looks like they're doing like we haven't seen 8 and 9 yet, assuming there even will be an 8 and 9, but yeah, 1 to 7 are basically just the 7 deadly sins. And the first one is pride, so okay, lust is actually where anger was before, that's 5. And anger is okay, anger and lust straight up traded places, which yeah, I don't know how lust is worse than wrath, but whatevs. And then yes, sloth is the 7th ring, so there we are.
Yeah, which we only saw last episode. Just to see that's where the hospital was.
Uh-huh.
But yeah, I think all in all, like if I were to give this episode like how I feel like counting it up against like some of the episodes from Has Been Hotel, sorry, from Helluva Boss, I honestly feel like this episode might be maybe top 4, like the 4th best from what I've seen from like say season 1. Like it just feels like really high energy, like feels like it really makes Spring Broken not feel like an incomplete plot. And I'm very thankful about that now.
Which, I mean, granted, I still didn't agree with your ranking of that even a little bit, but has it changed because of that?
Okay, Spring Broken, Spring Broken. What to think about that episode? Solid introduction episode. I don't feel like it really changes it that much. I just think probably I don't really hate it as much now. I don't hate it anymore. That's
Mm-hmm.
what this episode does to me. Like it feels like okay, it's purposeful, introduces like the surface level conflict that Luna says she has. Actual conflict gets revealed in this episode. And it's
And
getting
one of Blitz's
into
most hilarious rivalries, and yeah, coolest giant monsters, one of the better Millie and Moxie moments. Maybe we just shouldn't start this again.
it's like I mean, here's the thing with me. It's because I actually rate highly cherubs. Like that's the weird thing with me. Like even though I still have it like as probably like 5th place.
6th, I believe it was.
Well, now I'm kind of like thinking it might be 5th place, but okay. Do we even have that like that Google Doc anywhere right now? Because now I'm actually like, needing to check that. Like I really need to check that now.
Yeah, you said the pilot was 5th place before.
Oh yeah. The pilot. Um maybe I might put the pilot down after seeing this episode. Like,
Mm.
yeah, like not to say it's like gotten worse. It's just that like it was just a pilot to showcase the comedy and such.
Hmm.
Hold on.
I remember it holding up a little better than I thought when I looked again, but this one though, as far as where I would put it, like I don't know, 6 and 7 definitely felt more like slam bang season finale type stuff. This one is, I can kind of see why they, yeah, were okay saying straight to our faces, you don't need to see episode 8. It's, yeah, season 2 can go on without it. Like, it was hard to believe them on that one, but
found it. All right.
it was sort of epilogue-y to 7.
Okay. Yeah. Wait. Yeah, I did say 7 with Jen. Okay. Now, if we were to add episode 8 here, second place was Aussie. Which was first place for me again? Oh yeah, Truth Seekers. Yeah. Dang it! I'm not gonna
I
be
feel
able
the
to.
biggest issue with this episode is just like it did feel like a short episode and just in general like an epilogue to the season instead of like its own episode. Um,
Oh
so it's
wait, I
not like
literally.
major. So it's more like playing off of existing plot points instead of sort of establishing new. The best things really about it was more of like sort of showing different sides of characters.
Um. Second, I literally
Uh,
had it at 8th place, not 6th
what?
place. Spring Broken was 8th place for me.
There were only 7 at the time.
We included the pilot
Okay.
in our rankings. That's why.
So wait a minute. Then what did you say was it? 8?
It was Spring Broken.
Oh, okay, yeah. So, right, don't mind me. I forgot about the pilot.
Yeah. Yeah, like because I rated the pilot as 5th place. I mean now though, I might move up Spring Broken from
Although
8th
I was
place
right,
to
you
like,
said Cherubs was 6th place.
yeah. I think I'm just gonna switch up Murder Family and Spring Broken at this point. I think that's what this episode honestly makes me feel like now.
Mm-hmm. All right.
Yeah, like once doing that, it just basically means like Murder Family's not my least favorite. Feels like the most generic episode. I can't really talk about episode 5 now because that episode was irrevocably changed because of episode 4.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so I can't really say that fairly without trying to look at it without an unbiased lens at what happens in the future of said episode. I mean, it's premiere highlights were still good. But yeah, so yeah, like Murder Family is not really like an episode I would go back to watch. Spring Broken, it now has a companion piece. I think that's honestly the best part about it, you know? Like it gets a companion piece that shoots it up a bit.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's just really nice.
Yeah. Well, as a matter of fact, it might just end up making me happy because let's see. Well, so do you still put Spring Broken in the D tier?
I might be willing to put it to C now with Dave's opinion.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Now it's not going to be as heavily weighed down now by my negativity.
Yeah, which might mean. Let me see. Okay. Um, there's myself up. Okay, down by 1. Up by 1.
Okay. Okay, I might say something about this okay. I feel like my opinion of Aussies might have actually gone down because of this episode now. Like I know it's like emotional and such, and the song was like pretty good. I'm now realizing like that wasn't even like my favorite genre or like my jive. Like I was just complimenting on how well orchestrated it was, but I didn't actually find it like favorable to me. This episode, on the other hand, actually feels like a song I would rock to and listen to multiple times and appreciate all the stuff.
Mm-hmm. But I'm more
So,
excited about the fact that Cherub is in last place. Yes, spring break has just barely passed, and woo!
no, the cherubs, no! My will was broken by the last episode of season 1.
Goodbye,
No.
Cherub. See you never, unless you come back, which I guess you still could, but
Uh, like the
still
episode is
hate.
fine, self-contained. Even if they don't come back, I'd be fine with that because I had my enjoyment from that episode of its Looney Tunes shenanigans.
And
That's
I
me.
had my due of Helluva Boss saying, like, no, see, we're playing our dues. We're a mean-spirited show, too. We do all the, mean-spirited and say all the mean-spirited stuff you've heard 100 times before about, like, these 2 or 3 things, It's so douchey. Like, sure is. On to the next one.
Hmm. Yeah, I'm just gonna put Ozzy's as like wait, what was even third place for me? Oh yeah,
Okay, well, I
Lululand.
feel like at some point we have to return to the episode at
Just
hand here. So,
oh
okay,
yeah,
let's
yeah.
see.
Sorry.
Like, what did we get here? We had, okay, Luna is awkward at navigating herself through parties. Presumably, she threw up at one of the last ones, and slam bang song that they put a lot of muscle into to replace whatever they had there originally, and this guy already has a girlfriend, and Luna is about to
Uh-huh.
leave heartbroken when Blitz shows up, and happenstances make her think this is worth giving another try, and Blitz kind of slays it until Beazle, what's her name, kind of turns jealous jackass, and forces Luna to collect Blitz and leave. But not entirely with their tail between their legs this time. And
Mm.
also nice little moment between the two of them that allows Blitz to end the night feeling a little better. So, honestly, I'd say like what's probably going to get it up the list for me is that it just kind of flows well. Like, I don't know, Murder Family stuff like that. It felt like it was finding its identity, like it was making a statement coming out of the gate, and I'm capable of not feeling this way, but I feel like Helluva Boss did sort of need time to find its groove with like, okay, the dark humor, yes, but not that overwhelms everything, that also like gels with the fun and even some of the sweet, and just like yeah. I feel like this one fits in that Helluva Boss zeitgeist better than some of the early ones.
Hmm. I
So,
gotcha.
how about you,
Yeah, I
DC?
need to be, like I said, I need to be heading out soon.
Oh,
Go to work
understandable.
tomorrow.
Understandable.
But yeah,
Sorry.
overall, like this was a nice treat of an episode that really, like I said, helped. It really does feel like an epilogue, like this for a season. Like I won't say it's in my top 3 favorite episodes of the season 1, but it's definitely a favorable episode, and it really does. This really did a lot to help round out Luna's character. Um,
Mm-hmm.
and also like to sort of see like introduce some new like better round out Tex, and also um his girlfriend too. Like I was like actually I got more screen time. I would say almost more screen time than Luna this episode, but it sort of helped round out another being of hell. So yeah, overall, like for a short episode, this got a lot done.
I mean, and also the fact that like Vizzy was able to get her idol Kesha to literally voice a character of hers is so much of a fulfillment for a lot of Vizzy Pop fans. Because the one thing that got her super popular on YouTube was a music video of Die Young. God, it's so beautiful seeing it finally come full circle with her own custom song for her own animated series with Kesha working on it.
Here's to that.
Yeah, that is just the absolute cream of the crop.
But yep, hopefully see y'all next time. Well, probably for a regular regular podcasting, we gotta get on that movie thing. But also probably soon, hopefully, a new Helluva Boss episode, because this was technically just releasing a season 1 episode, and we've already seen screenshots and a lot of stuff for the next season 2 episode, so that should probably be dropping sooner than later.
Heck yeah.
And then also the Hasbin Hotel is actually releasing its stuff soonish, isn't it?
Yeah, it's the summer.
This year, at least.
Well, no, actually during the summer is when it's supposed to be doing its stuff.
Oh, yeah, that is going to be interesting.
So yeah, lots of good stuff happening soon. So I guess see y'all next time.
Take care.
Bye, Johnny.
Ciao.